Donnie's lessons and how to carry out a proper shinty block in the bedroom, the light was smashed. Of course, the Bruce family had fancy lights, but not the usual bayonet fixing. But Donnie was adamant that we could fit a bayonet bulb into the almost bottle-like fixing. And he suggested that he held a chair on the bed with me on it while he gave me instruction on how to force the square peg into the round hole. Naturally, there was only one outcome, which resulted in an explosion, the whole house being fused, and Norman Bruce coming charging in to investigate what had happened. As Norman came in the door, Donnie loudly said, as his timing here was almost as good as his timing when he was blocking on the shinty pitch, "Slippy, I told you shouldn't have gone near that." Over the years, Donnie and I, along with many other suspects here today, went on a variety of shinty tours. And those to Canada and at different times to Ireland are legendary. Donnie and I actually also went on the very first tour to Ireland way back in the 70s. On every tour, however, there were a couple of things that would always happen. Drams and pints and crack would be enjoyed, and Donnie Martin would, at regular intervals, invited or not to sing, "Pal Tiku Parent Le Pawation Yeski Gimrick Sitaring Sikaraga. And after every tour, everyone would promise to learn all the words for the next time to support Donnie remember them himself and also to improve the harmony of the experience. While all of Donnie's siblings were born with fine singing voices, I'm not convinced Donnie's singing would necessarily get 5 yeses on Britain's Got Talent. But in parts of Canada and Ireland, he is revered almost as much as Bryan Adams and Daniel O'Donnell. And if he had launched an album, How to Murder Any Song, it would have been a bestseller. At this time across the world, we are unfortunately dealing with many situations of cruel and unwarranted warfare. And sadly, countries continue to develop different types of weapons. However, locally here on Skye, many of us have lived in fear for many years of one of the most potent weapons that has ever been known to man, the DMS, the Donnie Martin slap. The DMS, of course, was a weapon that could creep up on you at any time. But as he got older and became a regular recipient of this weapon, which he seemed to enjoy deploying on some folk, including myself, with great regularity, you did begin to see the conditions that often prevailed before the DMS was unleashed. The prevailing conditions usually included many drams of Ishkebeher, a social setting, usually a crowded bar, a group of shinty players or ex-shinty players, and discussions over anything at all, controversial or not, and most worrying of all, a growing, almost permanent grin on Donnie Martin's face. When these conditions were in place, it was a case of be vigilant, stand at least 6 feet away from Donnie, and if you were the regular recipient of the DMS, make sure you were agile on your feet and you had a planned exit strategy in place. Of course, everything Donnie did, from his coaching, his singing, his work, and even the distribution of the DMS, they were all done with good humor and a sense of being a person who was interested in and keen to help others. He was also a man who liked to get things done. And I know that as he looks down on us here today, he will have a smile on his face, as for 5 years he has been pursuing Botha to fix the lights here in the clubhouse. And yesterday, I believe, all his cajoling finally bore fruit in Donnie's honour. I bet everyone can picture the huge grin on his face as he knows he has finally got what he wanted from one of his oldest and dearest friends. Another story that was sent to me last night also proves that Donnie was not a one-trick shinty pony. Many years ago, when Bernsdale Football Club were reformed and were playing on the Davis Flats. They needed a set of goals. And who stepped forward? Donnie. He spoke to the boys in the fabrication yard at Kishern, and in no time at all, the best and apparently the heaviest goals ever to appear in the Sky League were soon on display. As we all come to terms with the tragic loss of our dear friend, and we mourn his passing, and we celebrate all he achieved, and all those he interacted with and supported during his life, I think it's also important to remember the many personal traits Donnie had, which have enhanced all our lives in some way. However, he was, for me, first and foremost, a people person. And we will all remember the personal experiences we shared with him in so many ways across the wide spectrum of life. Above all, of course, he was a committed family man. And the greatest sympathies of all at this time go to Alice, Donnie's wife for 42 years, daughter Kim, and son Scott, as well as son-in-law David and grandchildren Emma and Archie, and his siblings Alistair, Joan, Mary, and Anne. Donnie's sister Anne said this week, "My father died, I remember the minister stating that he would remember him for 3 S's, his smile, his songs, and his sewing, and that Donnie would also be remembered for the same, with the sewing be replaced by shinty." However, I think we now agree it will be 4 S's. It will be his smile, his songs, even if out of tune and only the first few lines, his slaps, and of course, shinty. Though he was approaching retirement age, there is no doubt that Donnie still had a huge amount to contribute to his family, his community, to sampling different whiskies, and of course, to shinty. With retirement for himself looming, there were travel plans being looked at, as well as more time to spend with grandchildren Emma and Archie, who doted on their papa, along with young neighbour Shawnee Alex MacLeod, who also affectionately referred to Donnie as Papa. Our thoughts and prayers go out to them all. While his untimely passing in such tragic circumstances has hit so many communities really hard, and he will be mourned for some time yet across the length and breadth of Scotland and beyond, I am sure there will be comfort in the memory of a life well lived, with a legacy etched firmly in the island he loved, and with the many communities he was an integral part of. Ga fosh awn yn si, Donnie, agus tangers on the kainaching, na uram a be yolachor.
Now, before I pronounce the benediction, just to remind you that you're all warmly invited to join the family at the Sky Camanachd Social Club for refreshments after the interment at Portree Cemetery. Please be upstanding for the benediction and remain upstanding as the family leave. Gras in Iesu Christ, agus gra ye, agus cochomen and spirit nui, malieriule. Amen.
Could all the shinty players and people who were asked to do the carries on the pitch, could they congregate together, please, and take instruction from Thomas Wilson? Thank you.
400 people watching it. No, it was still 175 now, but that was up at 400.
That's amazing, isn't it? How many seconds is it? Hundreds.
No. I'm going to keep. just 2 4s, just bring in just 2 4s, yeah. They're gonna need space to move around. You do it fine. And then just leave it up the time. Yeah, please, thank you. I did the toilet. We just do that door there straight ahead. Start getting the tables folded as well. See the folded tables down here, we need to start getting them. What do you think? Yeah, if you stack them 5 high, so then hopefully I can start getting these out here. But I need to start getting the tables out as well. Oh, geez, this is gonna be heavy. Yes, they're connected. So you have to like pull them apart. Quite a lot of people are living away already, you know. That's okay. She couldn't hear that we were here. I know. Hang on, I'm going to go and check her. Yeah. That's how I remember him, honestly. He came in when they told me it was 30 odd years ago. Yeah.
This electrical thing, this is Drew's. You're like, that's what the speaker, he was taking those speakers in.